Good afternoon, my friends. How you doing? Boy, that last show was a hoot and a half. I couldn't believe old Durwood was in there, all getting angry. Angry. Melanie, my girl, she said, tap that like you're swatting a mosquito that owes you money. That's what I'm talking about. We got 23 people in here, better have 23 likes. Woo! Got a lot going on. We know we had the big storm coming through. As I showed on the last show, here you go. Here you go. Here's your weather map. Obviously, this is the Electoral College, so anywhere where it's scribbled, you're going to get something. So enjoy. Have you got your groceries? Have you got your snacks? Have you got your gas? Have you got whatever you need? Got all my stuff today. And Jules went yesterday, and she said, it's a madhouse. It's a madhouse. Ange said her husband is going tonight, and God be with him, because people get real vicious when a storm is coming through. But for the afternoon show, we're going to be talking about Jesse Mac Butler. I absolutely hate his fat fucking face, and I'm pretty pissed at the state of Oklahoma that have been so heavily influenced by Oklahoma State University, by his dad, who's a very prominent fixture in Stillwater, Oklahoma, his mom, who hired a very high-powered attorneys out of Oklahoma City. Let me just go ahead and show you, and we have a playlist. These are the people who have failed, the survivors. Survivor is the key word of Jesse Mac Butler. There's Judge Susan Worthington, who, by the way, is not resigning. She was already retiring. I think she retired at the end of December. Judge Michael Colling, Assistant District Attorney Debbie Vincent, Laura Thomas, DA, Judge Jason Reese. Good luck in the midterms. Good luck getting reelected, because people remember things like that. And at the bottom of this clip I put up, that is Jesse's sister, who, by the way, is she's an educator and a volleyball coach for girls. There's his dad, Mac, who is the big Mac in the athletic department at Oklahoma State University. He knows what strings to pull. And there's Jackie, who also works at Oklahoma State University. Okay, I think we have been able to see for months how this is going. Let's go ahead and tell everybody welcome back. Nana said my cousin's daughter is a cheerleader at OSU. Good for her. Good for her. Great school. Great school. My son graduated from there. He got his MBA from Oklahoma State. He went to another school on a football scholarship, then joined the Guard. He went to Kuwait. Then he went to OSU and finished he got a lot of education while he was overseas in Kuwait. Then he finished it up at OSU. Great school. Don't let this deter you from that school, because it really is a good school. Real quick, going to tell everybody, I was just on the phone with Angel P, and she was kind of wondering what the hell, OJ was doing. Has anybody ever seen a fake Bombay that eats Armour Vienna sausages? He eats them like it's his job. He loves those salty things. Loves them. Probably loves them almost as much as he loves messing with Alexa. But I gotta say that quiet or she'll come on. Okay, so let's start with one set of the parents that spoke to Good Morning America.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
It's okay, Alexa. I wasn't trying to bother you.
You didn't bother me at all, Brooks. I'm here whenever you need something.
Okay, enjoy the show. Okay, so parents speak out in Oklahoma case sparking outrage, and it has caused outrage everywhere.
Competition uniform.
This morning, the parents of a teenage victim at the center of a sexual assault case causing outrage in Oklahoma speaking out.
Do you feel like your daughter got justice?
No. Community service.
Community service, counseling, and his senior year, he does online schooling and can't go onto the high school campus. That's it. That's all she wrote. Because even though these crimes are beyond heinous, and don't get me wrong, Oklahoma charges youthful offenders as adults left and right if they're poor. If they're poor and they don't have someone to write a letter to the judge.
Counseling doesn't equate to what he did to her, what he's taken from her.
Yvonne and Austin say they're upset that the suspect, 18-year-old Jesse Butler, avoided time behind bars.
Just hoping that his name will be out there, that somebody will know that
Well, everybody knows who he is. You think he's going to be at Eskimo Joe's in Stillwater, Oklahoma, having any cheese fries? I don't think so. Everyone knows who he is. Everyone.
he's capable of this, and just capable of this, and just anything we can do to prevent other harm.
The case in Stillwater causing public outcry earlier this year. Butler was 16 and 17 when he allegedly assaulted two teen girls, both former girlfriends.
This is where I'm getting real pissed off at the mainstream media. Allegedly assaulted. No. He was about to go to jail for 80 years. He pled no contest, and with some legalese, some legal judo, Judge Susan Worthington, let me put her fat ass up here again. Let me put her up here again. Tell you what, making me proud, Oklahoma. Keep it classy, bitches. Judge Susan Worthington made some sort of backroom deal with that bitch in the middle, Laura Thomas, the DA, to charge him as a youthful offender. A youthful offender. So as a youthful offender, he gets counseling. He's got to be on the little laptop, doing his beep, 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 boop, 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 getting his high school credits. And then, after a year, it all goes away. What they weren't bargaining on is there is an attorney who has filed something called Marsy's Law, which can overturn the no contest, and he would actually serve 10 years. Most people say I like 80 better, but hey, 10 is better than nothing, okay? Because this is nothing but down and dirty bullshit. Do you agree, Karma? You live in Oklahoma. Do you agree, Melanie? You live in Oklahoma. Any other Okies? I don't care where you live. Do you agree? Because I don't agree with this DA or judge did at all. And it's a wonder he didn't get some sort of Stillwater, Oklahoma justice out there.
Assaulted two teen girls, both former girlfriends. Authorities charging him with multiple counts of attempted rape, sexual battery, strangulation, and domestic assault.
Turn around for me.
Police body camera footage capturing Butler's arrest, his mother standing by his side.
Spread your feet for me.
He was initially charged as an adult and faced possible prison time.
But he was charged as an adult. This was a bleep on our news. And I was like, good. I mean, he's only a few weeks away from being 18 anyway. only a few weeks away. But the minute Jackie goes, Rick knows all about this. They knew this shit was coming, and they already had their defense, and they already had stuff in motion. Justice can be bought. I hate to admit it, but justice can be bought. But the justice is never for the victims. It's always for the perpetrator. You think the victim's parents get any say in this? No. Do you think the victims do? Nope. They weren't even told.
But a judge ultimately granting Butler, who was a minor at the time of the alleged incidents, youthful offender status. The district attorney telling ABC News they consulted the victim's family throughout the process and warned this would likely happen. Butler pled no contest and avoided prison time, but received a sentence of community service, rehabilitation, and counseling.
Community service for this type of crime, that's nothing. People get that for minor crimes.
Yvonne and Austin say the experience completely changed their daughter, Kate. She was 16 when she was allowed to start dating. Jesse was her first boyfriend.
When you first met Jesse, what was your first impression?
We liked him. We thought he was really nice. He would bring her flowers pretty frequently, and he took her to lots of fancy places, and she went to a lot of his sports events and games.
He seemed very kind and seemed like a gentleman to me.
But a few months later, their daughter began acting differently. They then learned she'd allegedly been sexually assaulted. Kate is now completing her senior year of high school online.
You know why? Do you know why Kate is completing her senior year of high school online? Why she's not going to the prom? Why she's not going to the winter formal? Why she didn't go to homecoming? She's ashamed. She's ashamed. She's lost friends. She's traumatized. She didn't want to face people. And let's not forget, there's some real bitches in that school. Oh, yes, there are. That do not like the microscope being put on their high school, that are blaming her and the other girl. They should just kept their mouth shut, broken up with him, and never said a word. Well, you have to say a word when someone strangles you within 30 seconds of your life and you go to the hospital. Yes. Cat OG said counseling. The devil don't need therapy. That's what I'm talking about. Can I have a boom for Cat? Can I please have a boom for Cat? That's what I'm talking about.
Life forever changed.
She doesn't have her high school friends anymore. And I'll never have a prom picture or a graduation picture because she doesn't want to walk.
Yvonne, Austin, and their attorney upset with the way their daughter's case has been handled.
What you think should have happened?
I think there should have been a period of incarceration, and I think that there should have been an admission of guilt of what he did.
What are you hoping for your daughter now?
Oh, I hope that she tries to date again. Right now, she's been too scared. So,
Bad move, Mom. Bad move, Mom. You're telling this to Good Morning America, and of course, they heavily edit everything. Heavily edit everything. But they happen to pick this clip. Well, I hope she dates again. This is the reason I always say, don't give me a soundbite. Don't give me a screenshot. I need the whole enchilada. I need it all. And to answer Angel P's question, yes, there is a huge civil suit. There is a huge civil suit. And by the way, it takes like 2 seconds to figure out who the girls are. 2 big seconds. One mother is really active on Facebook. I mean, super active. She's constantly calling out Jackie and Jesse and Mac, all of them. Mom should have never said anything about dating because remember, this is the lamestream media and they're going to cherry pick what they can sensationalize.
Period of incarceration, and I think that there should have been an admission of guilt of what he did.
What are you hoping for your daughter now?
Oh, I hope that she tries to date again. Right now, she's been too scared. So,
It's shattered her trust of.
that's her first boyfriend, and that was her first experience with love. And I hope that she'll try again because love shouldn't hurt.
Love shouldn't hurt. Now, overnight, their attorney filing a motion arguing that Kate's rights were violated during the plea and sentencing process. They are pushing for more accountability, saying he's had his freedom restricted. It's slightly more than grounding. So, guys, we'll have, of course, more on Nightline tonight.
Powerful.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, George Stephanopoulos. He's like, powerful, powerful. Listen, these news reporters, they don't give a shit about the person sitting in the chair. They don't care about going to someone's farm in Oklahoma and talking to them. They don't. And they exploit the simplest of the simple people. And Kate's family, they live just like the rest of us. You know what I mean? Worried about the snow, thinking about filing taxes soon. They don't exactly have the power and pull that Mac and Jackie Butler have. So let's get to the latest. And I'm pretty upset about the latest. And again, this is my home state, born and bred. Born and bred. Astro has a question. He said that was her first boyfriend. He said, sheesh, she's not dating men ever again. Well, Jesse's not a man. Jesse is a child who I think is a closeted gay person, to be quite honest, considering the way he violated these girls. Okay. And when a person is a victim of rape, they find everyone as a threat. Okay? Hence why the girls don't want to be around anyone, and they certainly don't want to think about anything like that. And let's not forget, they're still healing.
Update for you in the Jesse Butler rape case out in Stillwater, Oklahoma. The now 18-year-old, as we know, pled no contest to multiple rape and domestic assault charges after two of his ex-girlfriends came forward with shocking accusations. But when the court unexpectedly agreed to give Butler youthful offender status, basically wiping away all prison time, the victims and their families cried foul. But
may I say, Jesse Weber is the Marco Rubio of internet news. Jesse's on everything. He's on every platform. He's got his own show on News Nation. He's still got Sidebar on Law and Crime. He's got Spotify. He's everywhere.
now we are hearing what the state and Butler's attorneys have to say about the allegations that the court's decision violated the law. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Okay, before we get into this, if you're looking to eat healthy this New Year's, then nothing really hits like home cooking. That's the truth.
Oh, damn it, Jesse.
High school baseball player's name, his photos, they went viral when it was discovered that he had gotten practically no punishment for crimes like rape and strangulation of girls that he was dating. And this time, what we're about to talk about, a big update regarding whether or not he's going to be back in a courtroom and whether or not his future could change. Because as I get into it, there has been a push for him to be punished or his case to be re-examined. And now the state and his attorneys have responded. A lot to get into. But remember, this is all because, and we reported this, how originally it was ordered Butler would not serve any jail time after entering.
I want to know how he got so fat from when he got his conviction. I see the pictures of when he was dating the girls. Now, he had that weird-ass looking mullet going on. And of course, he's still, he's baby fat Jesse. He is. He's baby fat Jesse. But now he's like, he's plump. He looks like a Christmas goose. Here comes Jackie.
During a no contest plea.
Oh, look at her. Look at her. She's ready to go. She's got the sunglasses on. She knows Ron Durbin is there giving her hell. He's got his cell phone out. He's screaming and yelling at her. Oh, yeah, she's ready to go. She's going to back him up to the nines.
Something that the families of his victims say they never would have agreed to. They weren't properly consulted. So now they're challenging the court's decision to grant what's known as youthful offender status. And just to let you know about the case, 2 of Butler's ex-girlfriends, they came forward in 2024 alleging horrifying abuse. You had one teen identified as LS who claimed that after getting ice cream, Butler drove her to a parking lot and tried to rape her in his car. According to an affidavit filed with the court, LS reported she yelled and told him no repeatedly and tried to push him off of her, but was unable to overpower him. LS reported Butler told her he was sorry for what he was about to do, but he had to do it. And then, when ostensibly taking her back to her own car, he allegedly warned, "You're not going until I'm finished." The other girl, identified as KS, claims that Butler...
And thank you, News Nation. Thank you, Law and Crime. Thank you for keeping the girls' names private, even though everyone knows the girls' names. We all know their names. And look at him sitting there looking like Kool Moe Dee or something. Listen, all the sunglasses in the world are not going to hide what you've done. Insane. Insane. And the investigation for me went on way too long, considering, at least with LS, we know for a fact there was medical evidence.
Assaulted her too. In the affidavit related to her case, an investigator detailed what she claimed happened when she was house sitting for a family friend. Quote, Butler expressed a desire to have sexual intercourse with her at the house. KS reported she did not want to do anything at the house. Butler became angry, came up behind her, put his arm around her neck, and strangled her to unconsciousness. She could not breathe, scratched at his arms, and tried to get away, but could not free herself. KS woke up on the floor of the living room after losing consciousness. KS reported there were red marks across her neck after Butler strangled her. Approximately 15 minutes after strangling her, Butler initiated sexual intercourse with her. And KS also claimed that Butler had recorded himself choking her. And police claim that they later found those images on his...
Which, by the way, is considered child porn. And that should be dealt with federally. That is a Homeland Security measure. That should have been handed over to the OSBI. And then the OSBI would hand it over to the FBI. And then the FBI would hand it over to Homeland Security. You know what I'm saying? But when a man grabs a woman from behind and puts a chokehold on, and they are graped that way, that is someone that's struggling with their sexuality. These 2 girls can't be lying. You know why? Because the medical evidence proves they're not.
Sexual intercourse with her. And KS also claimed that Butler had recorded himself choking her. And police claim that they later found those images on his phone. Now, both girls reported him to their school in September of 2024. One got an emergency protective order, but she and her family claimed that Butler violated it. He would end up facing a violation of protection order charge, along with very, very serious felony charges. There were arrest warrants that were issued in January and February of 2025. They weren't executed, by the way, for weeks. He wasn't officially arrested until March 4th. And by the way, we've shown this before, but I'll play it again. We got the body cam footage from that day, which shows the moment when investigators arrived at his home.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let me know. Thank you. Hello?
Hello. Are you Jackie?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Jackie. I'm Detective Bruce with the Stillwater Police Department. We're here because we have a warrant for Jesse's arrest. I assume you know that already.
Yeah, well, she's a Dallas Cowboys fan, so that might be part of the problem. He.
Okay, is he here?
Yes.
Okay.
I told him not to answer the door till I got home. He's scared to
Okay.
death, so.
So here's what's gonna happen. Like, we're gonna take him into custody. His bond is $25,000.
Okay.
Once he gets to the jail and we get him booked in, well, I guess on the way to the jail, I guess you could contact a bondsman.
Yeah.
Or I mean, if you have 25 grand lying around, you can do that. But if you contact a bondsman, then they can post his bond and he can get right out today.
Okay.
So, and
Like, what kind of time frame does that look like? Just out of curiosity, like midnight tonight or
no,
an hour?
Like, you can contact a bondsman and
yeah,
it'll
I'm
be like an
best
hour and a
friends
half
with
or something.
Candy Baker, I'm sure y'all know
Yeah.
Candy.
So
She's the one that told me.
it's a pretty quick process.
Okay.
We just like have to get him booked in.
Okay.
And then once he's booked in,
Okay.
and just so you know, he is a juvenile, so he won't be like with any adults. Like he can't be housed with any adults.
Okay.
So there is a
Astro, am I speaking fluently enough for you? We have a whole playlist on this. I have made it perfectly clear, if you've been paying attention, that he was given a youthful offender status. Okay? So no, he's been to the courthouse, but no jail time. They issued the warrant, but there is such strings being pulled. They were hoping that the warrant would just get him checked in and checked out of jail because they have a high-powered law firm out of Oklahoma City. He's never had a piece of white bread and cold beans in the Stillwater jail.
into custody. His bond is $25,000.
Okay.
Once he gets to the jail and we get him booked in, well, I guess on the way to the jail, I guess you could contact a bondsman.
Yeah.
Or I mean, if you have 25 grand lying around, you can do that. But if you contact a bondsman, then they can post his bond and he can get right out today.
Okay.
So,
like, what kind of time frame does that look like? Just out of curiosity, like midnight tonight or an hour?
Like, you can contact a bondsman and
yeah, I'm
like an
best
hour and a
friends
half
with
or something.
Candy Baker, I'm sure y'all know
Yeah.
Candy.
So
she's the one that told me.
It's a pretty quick process.
Okay.
We just like have to get him booked in.
Okay.
And then once he's booked in,
Okay.
and just so you know, he is a juvenile, so he won't be like with any adults. Like he can't be housed with any adults.
Okay.
So there is a chance that he may be moved over to Payne County, but for right now, depending on how long it takes you to get with her and get bond
I'll
set
call
up,
her right back. So
then he'll probably just be at our facility at the city of Stillwater.
Okay.
And she can
whose
come over
call
there.
is that?
It just like we can only hold him for 6 hours.
Oh, okay. So if I get it done now, we're good.
Yeah.
He's not going to be moved.
No.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
There shouldn't be. The only big holdup is if we have somebody else in the jail because we can't have them intermingle. Like if they're booking somebody in, it can hold us up like maybe 15, 20 minutes, something like that. But it's not going to be a long thing generally.
No, she's going to get 25 grand. They put down 25 grand cash. They didn't put up a surety bond. They didn't bring the deed to the house. They didn't put down 10%. No, they threw down $25,000, which they will get back in August. They will get that back in August of this year. And so that's tied up, and it's her responsibility and Max and the goofy ass sister who teaches girls volleyball, excuse me. I got a frog in my throat. And they'll get it back. And then if you see right there above the law and crime sidebar thing, that's Pistol Pete, Oklahoma State University. So she's going to get Jesse, and she's going to make sure that she gets to the bank real quick, and she's going to get 25 grand, and she's going to slap that down. Whether it's their money or someone else's, I don't know. It just showed it was paid by Jackie Butler.
Well, we're ready to obviously tell our story too.
Yeah.
Jess, it's Mom. Open the door. Give me your wallet and phone and stuff. So, okay. You're what?
They're in the car.
Well, okay, it's fine. It's not locked or anything, is it? Okay. So, can you tell him what you just told me, or?
Yeah. So we're here. We're obviously going to place you under arrest. There's a warrant for your arrest. We're going to take you to the jail. I told your mom that she can contact a bondsman, and you shouldn't be very long. But there just is a process for paperwork and stuff. But right now, you do have to come with us, and I do have to put you in handcuffs. So turn around for me.
Transport something.
You know, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'll get you out. For me. All right. Stay silent. Rick knows about this. Candy's on this. Dad's on his way. We're coming to get you. Okay.
His mom, actually, she gives him sage advice, to be quite honest. I'm coming to get you. Dad's on his way. Rick knows about this, which is the attorney, and he charges big money in Oklahoma City. Rick knows about this, which, as you can tell, means they're on a first name basis. And I'm coming to get you. Okay. But stay silent. Staying silent, that's actually sage advice. I will give that one to Jackie. Okay, Jackie gets 1 point from me today.
Stay strong, okay? Say your prayers.
Okay, so he's going to go right to the city of Stillwater jail, and if you'll just contact her, then she does this all the time. She knows what to do.
Yeah.
Make sure
Okay.
she knows Stillwater Police Department, not county.
Yeah.
Stillwater Police Department on Lewis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let them know that we're the ones that picked them up.
And when you say we are
Stillwater PD.
Stillwater PD.
Yeah.
Okay.
That way they don't think you went like straight up when you go with the county.
Awesome experience for the child.
Pat you down, spread your feet for me. Nothing on their sides.
Good, Jess. Do that.
So Butler was charged as an adult with 11 felonies. He faced up to 78 years in prison. But over the summer, after a no contest plea, the court granted him youthful offender status. So just like that, those potential 78 years vanished. Instead, he received probation, which includes counseling, community service, a social media ban, a restitution payment. If he fails, he could face a 10-year prison sentence. If he completes it, record sealed, that's it. Back in December, Rachel Bussett, an attorney for the mother of one of the victims, submitted a filing that called for a review of the victim's involvement in decision-making in this case as it progressed. It's called a verified motion to enforce victims' constitutional rights for corrective hearing and for modification of youthful offender disposition in compliance with Marsy's Law. Now, Marsy's Law is a nationwide effort to not only protect victims' privacy, but also make sure they're aware of all the steps in the legal process and their rights are considered. But
It's very rarely used, Marsy's Law, because a lot of victims don't say anything once the gavel goes down. They don't say anything. And for obvious reasons, because they're scared. But Rachel filed this. And again, this is a federal statute to protect victims' rights. Because even though on every show we have, we always say, how come the criminal always has all the rights? Victims do too. They do. If a victim isn't alive, they can't exactly be in court to stand up for themselves. All right, we got that part. That's obvious. But when a victim is alive, they have to be notified of any changes to their case. This was not done this time. This was not done.
Bussett claims that didn't happen in the Jesse Butler case, and we're actually going to be speaking with her about the latest developments in just a moment, but basically she's arguing that her client's rights were violated because she wasn't properly consulted or heard before this controversial deal was struck. And so according to the motion, as well as the court docket, in May of 2025, Butler's attorney and the district attorney for Payne County, they appeared before a judge to set a date for a preliminary hearing in Butler's criminal case. But Bussett claims Butler's legal team implied that youthful offender status had already been granted, even though it hadn't been. And a few days later, there was an order that was filed delaying the preliminary hearing. So according to the motion, it reads, Chaos and her family did not agree to a delay of the preliminary hearing and were not advised that it would be delayed by agreement prior to the DA entering this order. The May 22nd order lacked a signature for the defendant's counsel, a signature for victim's counsel, and had no certificate of service proving service on victim's counsel or proof of mailing within 3 days. On June 12, 2025, Butler filed a second motion to certify as a youthful offender, or in the alternative, a juvenile, and request for youthful offender study and psychological evaluation. The certificate of service likewise does not show that victim's counsel was served. So they're asserting that this was basically done behind closed doors, right? There was no input from some of the people most impacted by what Butler did. And you continue from the motion. It says that same day, the court entered an order authorizing a youthful offender evaluation, struck the preliminary hearing set for June 13th, 2025, and rescheduled the hearing for July 24th, 2025 as a youthful offender preliminary hearing. Court's order was not signed by the DA, defendant's attorney, or the victim's attorney. There was no certificate of service or mailing of the judgment attached to the order. And on the face of the order, it is unclear who prepared the order. So it's kind of strange, right, that sort of information may be missing here. And then it goes on to say, KS was having surgery for a broken leg on June 12th, and she and her family had no idea such an order was being entered. On July 23rd, 2025, KS had a meeting with the district attorney in preparation for the July 24th hearing. KS was a minor and did not have a parent present or her attorney present. KS was told they weren't going to practice because there was a plea deal. The DA told KS not to tell her mother.
Okay. The DA, if you live in Payne County, there she is, Laura Thomas, DA. She went to see KS. We saw her parents. They were on Good Morning America. And of course, their words got twisted, but that happens. She went to the hospital when the girl had a broken leg and said there was a plea deal and don't tell your parents. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Now, listen, if she was 18 years old, you can go talk to her. But she's not. Well, at that time, she was not 18. There's Laura Thomas. Again, if you live in Payne County, Oklahoma, she's running for re-election. I would just appreciate you not vote for her. But that's totally up to you. If you think she does a good job otherwise, don't really know how you would. Don't really know how you would. But she is a disgusting individual.
Around 12 p.m., the DA called KS's mother and advised her that she had agreed to a plea deal where Butler would plead guilty and serve time in a juvenile facility in exchange for a youthful offender sentence. The family was not provided any other specifics of the deal for the YO certification. The district attorney did not advise or confer with KS, her parents, or the LS family before entering into plea negotiations or agreeing to the plea deal or the YO certification. So according to Bussett, the family's...
Okay. And so this is how it goes down. At the bottom of your screen, they're all up there. These are the people who failed survivors. And that's not a boom word. They really did survive his attacks. Okay? The girls are survivors. So at the bottom, well, you have the volleyball coach, you have Mac Butler, and you have Jackie Butler. When all this was coming down, Mac reached out to Laura Thomas, the DA. They go way back. To be quite honest, even though there's a huge university, the university stays to itself. Stillwater, in all accounts, is a small town. It really is. So then Laura's like, let me see what I can do. She reaches out to Judge Susan Worthington, who's about to retire, and thinks that this is a great family and must be some kind of misunderstanding. And went ahead and said, yes, youthful offender, we don't want to ruin the rest of his life. Oh, okay. But you originally were going to give him 78 years, and you originally charged him as an adult.
Understanding was that Butler was going to get some sort of jail time, even if it was just a juvenile facility, but that didn't really happen. It says, quote, on August 22nd, 2025, the DA advised KS and her family and LS family that there was no guilty plea. The DA further advised that Butler's attorney had stated he was never going to advise his client to plead guilty. This directly contradicted what they were previously told about why the DA agreed to the YO certification. KS and her parents expressly objected and did not consent to any plea that did not include imprisonment. The DA told Ellis's family that they could start all over at the beginning. The district attorney stated she would continue plea negotiations and follow up with them over the weekend. The DA stated to KS's mother.
Hold on. The DA, Laura Thomas, told Ellis's family that they could start all over at the beginning. The DA stated that she would continue plea negotiations and follow up with them over the weekend. The DA needs to be impeached. The DA needs to be disbarred. And I will die on that hill. She has no business practicing law. She took an oath, and she knows that she's there to protect the law. She broke the law by lying to these families. She should be in jail. Jail. The DA stated to KS's mother, Yvonne Sweeney, that we're supposed to include the families in discussions about these things. Sometimes that is a mistake. KS and her mother understood this to mean the state thought including the family in the discussion was a mistake.
Yvonne Sweeney, that we're supposed to include the families in discussions about these things. Sometimes that is a mistake. KS and her mother understood this to mean the state thought including the family in the decision was a mistake. Now, KS's mother gave a victim impact statement in court, objected to the case's outcome. Butler was able to plead no contest, so no allocution, no admission of guilt, got no jail time. And even now, there are issues apparently with the protective order forbidding Butler from having contact with at least one of the victims, because according to Bussett's motion, the victim had been informed that extending the protective order could be incorporated into the plea agreement, but this was not done. Victim and her family had to use the assistance of other counsel to extend the protective order. The protective order remains sealed, making it difficult to enforce the protective order because of its confidentiality, even though the DA promised this would be addressed.
It hasn't been addressed. It needs to be public because he is 18 now. It needs to be on ODCR. To when I go to ODCR and I put in Jesse Mack Butler, I can see, as a citizen of Oklahoma, what these girls are being protected from. It is still sealed.
So Bussett argued that Butler's crimes amounted to much more than just a simple childhood mistake. The defendant's conduct was not a single youthful indiscretion, but a pattern of escalating violence over approximately 11 separate incidents during a 7 to 8 month period. And the motion concludes by saying the victim now moves this court to enforce Marcy's law and set aside the plea agreement and reset this matter as an adult prosecution and move forward as an adult prosecution, or alternatively, if the court determines that it should remain a YO, to require the defendant to allocate. Now, with all that in mind, the state, as well as Butler's attorneys, have responded to Bussett's motion. That's what we're going to.
And this is where you're going to lose your shit. Because they are victim blaming. They are victim blaming. This is what came out yesterday. Now, I can't say this. I can't say that the state of Oklahoma is defending him, but the DA and his attorney, who should be defending him because he's his defense attorney, but the DA is going to stick with her decision. And not only is she sticking with it, she could easily say, let Marsy's Law go through. That's fine. The ADA, she can prosecute it. You can defend it. Have at it. But instead, she made a real wrong turn at the wrong street.
Talk about. All right, so to talk about all this, to get reaction to these developments, I want to welcome back on Rachel Bussett. Rachel actually just came from court, so thank you for being so generous with your time to come do this in your car, nonetheless. Really appreciate it. Okay, so it's been a few weeks since we last spoke. Before we get into the latest developments, just how are the families doing at this point? What can you tell us?
Everybody's struggling. It's really rough to see what was said in the responsive motions, but at the same time, it wasn't I wasn't surprised based upon it's what I expected it to be. People aren't used to doing this for a living, don't understand how these things happen, and it feels very personal. So that's rough.
That's totally understandable. Now, the local news outlet, News 9, did offer some insight into what these filings are. So according to News 9, Butler's defense is claiming that Marsy's Law is being, misused in this instance, that it changing the outcome would violate his due process rights. I mean, Rachel, correct me if I'm wrong, but that seems to be one of the main arguments. What would be your reaction to that?
It is not an unexpected argument. I understand where he's coming from. I disagree with that, and we'll be addressing it in our response. Our position is that this plea was void, and if the plea is void, it's void ab initio, meaning from the beginning. So there would not be a violation of his rights because it wasn't done properly from the get-go.
News 9 reports that as part of its arguments, the state says that while Marsy's Law does give victims a voice in the legal process, it doesn't give them control over the outcome of a case or sentencing, that it's up to the prosecution. And the response notes that the law doesn't give victims the ability to overturn or undo lawful sentences. Your reaction to that?
Marsy's Law alone does not allow a challenge to what has happened. If there are other irregularities that violate the law, then it can be challenged. And so our argument has been from the beginning that this plea was improper. It was not done properly. And that is the basis for the challenge. Marsy's Law is not the sole or only basis for the challenge.
He's had his due process. He's had it. He's already been to court. He's already had a warrant. He's already been arrested. That's his due process. And by the way, if you ever go through due process in the Constitution, there's a lot of gray areas there. There's a lot of gray areas there. I know a lot of people scream about people that are here illegally, and they said, well, what about their due process? Well, that's a totally different topic. But the Constitution explains it perfectly.
So would you also be saying that it's improper for them to suggest that it was a lawful conclusion, that it was a lawful sentence? Or are you saying that the way this happened was illegal and perhaps, like you said, it's invalid?
I think you get into the technicalities of what constitutes a lawful plea versus invalidity. And I don't know that we have time to parse all of that. But basically, my position is that the procedure was not properly followed by not following step by step the process of the juvenile youthful offender certification. The certification is improper. Therefore, the plea and imposition of sentencing is improper and thus void. And something that is void ab initio is never valid and can't ripen into a valid plea.
Where is this going to end up? In other words, you will file, I imagine, a response, right, to this. Is this going to be a hearing or witnesses going to be called? What do you expect this is going to morph into?
Currently, we have a court date set February 3rd to have a hearing about having a hearing and defining what all of that looks like.
Don't you love how the wheels grind around here? We're going to have a hearing to discuss having a hearing on how to go forward. Does anyone not have an email? Come on. They always do that shit. When I go through the ODCR, it'll say hearing to schedule preliminary hearing. Fuck me. Y'all just get together and decide when to do it. Slow as molasses in January. And I want to know how much that DA got paid. And I want to know how much that judge got paid. A hearing to have a hearing.
The certification is improper, therefore the plea and imposition of sentencing is improper and thus void. And something that is void ab initio is never valid and can't ripen into a valid plea.
Where is this going to end up? In other words, you will file, I imagine, a response, right, to this. Is this going to be a hearing or witnesses going to be called? What do you expect this is going to morph into?
Currently, we have a court date set February 3rd to have a hearing about having a hearing and defining what all of that looks like. Jesse, to the best of my knowledge, this is really an issue of first impression that I doubt will be resolved in the courts in Stillwater. I anticipate this will go to the Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals, and there might be questions of constitutional law that actually have to go over to the Oklahoma Supreme Court about the
That's exactly where it's going to go. That is exactly where it's going to go. And that's what J.J. Humphreys, he's one of our state representatives. He says he's going to run for governor. I hope he does. I hope he does, because he's always shaking the apple cart. He said he wanted a grand jury, but they're not doing a grand jury. They're doing Marsy's Law. So it's going to have to go up and up and up. This won't be done in January. This won't be done in February. This won't be done in June. And I'm going to go ahead and let you know, it probably won't be done in 2026. It probably won't. Because that's what happens when you go to a higher court. Especially with some hickory bastards like the ones we're dealing with here. And she better get her game socks on if she's going to go talk to the Oklahoma Supreme Court.
Into a valid plea.
Where is this going to end up? In other words, you will file, I imagine, a response, right, to this. Is this going to be a hearing or witnesses going to be called? What do you expect this is going to morph into?
Currently, we have a court date set February 3rd to have a hearing about having a hearing and defining what all of that looks like. Jesse, to the best of my knowledge, this is really an issue of first impression that I doubt will be resolved in the courts in Stillwater. I anticipate this will go to the Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals, and there might be questions of constitutional law that actually have to go over to the Oklahoma Supreme Court about the interaction between Marsy's Law and criminal defendants' rights and how that works out. Either way, I see this as a case-making law.
And I want to get your take on something else that happened too, but before I do that, just so our audience is clear, is there any possibility, any outcome where Jesse Butler could be resentenced and face prison time?
I believe that it's a possibility. We're going to see whether the courts agree with me or not.
I want to get your take on this civil lawsuit that was apparently filed by the family of one of the victims, so the Selvies. This is against multiple defendants, including the Butlers, the city, the school district, the principal, the school resource officer that was assigned to the school. And this federal lawsuit that was filed in December says that Jesse Butler was known to be aggressive, violent.
Okay, here they're talking about the civil suit.
Where Jesse Butler could be resentenced and face prison time?
I believe that it's a possibility. We're going to see whether the courts agree with me or not.
I want to get your take on this civil lawsuit that was apparently filed by the family of one of the victims, so the Selvies. This is against multiple defendants, including the Butlers, the city, the school district, the principal, the school resource officer that was assigned to the school. And this federal lawsuit that was filed in December says that Jesse Butler was known to be aggressive, violent, claims that his parents knew about it, didn't get him any sort of help. The lawsuit also accuses the school district of failing to investigate, notify staff about what was going on, take any action to protect her once LS reported the abuse. And the girl's mother filed for an emergency protective order, which was reportedly served on Butler while he was at school. And after that, the family claims the principal, Walter Howell, called her to request that she report problems directly to him instead of going to the police. And the filing claims that Howell said he chose not to enter the emergency protective order into the school's database because he, quote, did not want to interfere with Butler's opportunity to receive an education. Rachel, what's your reaction to that?
We'll be filing a similar lawsuit with similar allegations on behalf of KS and her family just as soon as the tort claim process expires and we move forward.
Yeah, we checked the federal docket for this case. It shows that the defendants have all received a summons, so it requires them to answer the lawsuit within weeks of receiving it. We haven't seen any answers have been filed. Is there anything that you can shed light on about this case or what you think the conclusion might be here?
I anticipate the defendants will file a motion to dismiss. That will be briefed. Based upon the way our court system is moving in Oklahoma, it could be anywhere from 4 months to several years before that is decided. So there's not going to be any expeditious resolution of this issue in federal court. Whether there's separate resolution, I can't say, but we will be pursuing a similar lawsuit. Whether they're consolidated or not, I don't know that. I would expect they would be at least in discovery.
Now, Rachel, you've been getting attention. The family's been getting attention as a result of these challenges. Have you been receiving, what's been the response that you've been getting? I mean, support, there are those been, saying you shouldn't be doing this. There are those who are supporting you doing it. Anything you could tell us since we last spoke?
Sure. By and large, the community and individuals within the legal community and the greater community have been very supportive. Nobody likes what has happened here. I understand the district attorney has discretion and a defense attorney has a job to do. But part of our job as attorneys is to make sure from beginning to end that the process is followed appropriately and lawfully. And I don't believe that happened. And I think a lot of people question about whether or not that happened. And my goal is to make sure that we determine whether that did or did not happen. And I think there's a lot of support for that. And that's what we've seen. There's always going to be people who are going to allege that this was consensual, as suggested by the district attorney, which is absolutely not true. And there's always going to be people that support the defendant. But by and large, the community.
The only people supporting Jesse Mack Butler are these people. Susan Worthington, Michael Colling, Debbie Vincent, Laura Thomas, Jason Reese, Jackie Butler, Mac Butler, and volleyball coach. Count the women. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What happened to women? What happened? What really happened? We know girls talk behind, each other's backs and they vent and they move on. Or, whatever. And there's some bitches that are just totally freaking nasty. I'll steal your boyfriend. I'll do this. But what really happened with women? What really happened? Jackie Butler is saying all of this was consensual. And she knew a civil suit was coming because these families are poor and they just want their money. And if anyone says one thing, when the checks are written to these families for these girls, I don't want to hear a damn thing about grifting or anything like that. I don't give a rat's ass if they go on a Caribbean cruise. I don't care. I don't care. Because the girls deserve at least something. Something. And once the civil suit is done, it's actually going to make the appeals process much easier. Because then it's all in black and white. Because remember, nobody has ever testified. Nobody's ever had a chance. These were backroom deals.
Have you been receiving, what's been the response that you've been getting? I mean, support, there are those been, saying you shouldn't be doing this. There are those who are supporting you doing it. Anything you could tell us since we last spoke?
Sure. By and large, the community and individuals within the legal community and the greater community have been very supportive. Nobody likes what has happened here. I understand the district attorney has discretion and a defense attorney has a job to do. But part of our job as attorneys is to make sure from beginning to end that the process is followed appropriately and lawfully. And I don't believe that that happened. And I think a lot of people question about whether or not that happened. And my goal is to make sure that we determine whether that did or did not happen. And I think there's a lot of support for that. And that's what we've seen. There's always going to be people who are going to allege that this was consensual, as suggested by the district attorney, which is absolutely not true. And there's always going to be people that support the defendant. But by and large, the community as a whole support these victims and what we're doing.
Rachel Bussett, thank you so much for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that's all we have.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Now, I hope Justin Humphreys, people call him JJ Humphreys, I hope he really does throw his hat into the ring to run for governor. He is a Democrat. I personally do not attach to labels. You're never going to hear me go, I won't vote for that person because. You'll never hear that. Because he has been rattling cages around this state for a good while. And I would have no problem with him coming in, being the governor, and being a total disruptor. Shake it up. Shake it up. Do it. Do it. I mean, the primaries are coming up. I'll vote for him. And then if he doesn't win, then obviously got to work for someone else. I don't know. But he has supported this family from soup to nuts, and he's not going to stop. He is a great dude. Rachel is doing God's work. How she's getting paid, I will never know. I have a feeling that, there could be a GoFundMe out there or something like that. If there is, I would happily contribute, happily, to keep this going. Because what happened to these girls in these shady backroom meetings that happen, and going to the hospital to talk to a girl with a broken leg saying, don't tell your mother, that is illegal. Even in Oklahoma, that is illegal. Something's going to have to be done in Payne County, and I would have zero problem with Jackie losing her job at Oklahoma State University. She's a huge administrator there. I would have no problem with them shaming Mac Butler straight off the campus. No problem at all. You know why? Because all they had to do was get an attorney for their son and go through the legal system. But instead what they did is they used their power, whatever that may be, in Stillwater, Oklahoma, and they pulled this string, and they pulled this string, and they pulled this string until they got their way. Well, this is going to follow Jesse for the rest of his life, and his parents are going to pay out in this civil suit. So is the principal, so is the school resource officer, so are a lot of people. And then eventually, he's going to have to go to the Oklahoma State Supreme Court, or maybe the appellate court. By that time, he might be 22, 23 years old. And then it's going to set the clock way back. And it's going to be like, well, this is from when you were 16 and when you were 17. So now we're going to uphold the original sentence. It's not going away, and it's not going away anytime soon. Hate to say it, but that is justice in America sometimes, especially when it comes to women. Women and children are disposable. You can rape a woman and she better shut up. You can get a woman pregnant and you can walk away. Hell, you can put a wig on and say you're a woman and take a woman's scholarship. It's one thing after another. But women don't stick together. Well, I'm going to stick with these girls. I'm going to stick with their families. And I know you guys are too. So I will see you back here tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I think I got some roasting to do on Dawn and Candace because they pulled a real Mickey yesterday. All right, my friends, I will see you back here tomorrow. You're the absolute best. Love you bunches.